What if I told you that the secret to everything you desire, wealth, health, love, freedom, is hidden in two words you speak every single day? I am. These words are not mere sounds. They are the creative power of God Himself dwelling in you. Whenever you say I am, you are not describing yourself. You are declaring what is being called into being. So, how do you ask I am to give you what you want? By assuming it already is. You do not beg, you do not plead, you claim. When you quietly affirm within yourself, I am successful, I am loved, I am free, you are planting seeds in the fertile soil of your imagination. The world outside must then reflect what you have dared to assume within. Imagination is not idle daydreaming. It is the workshop of creation. If you persist in the inner assumption, no matter what appearances may say, you will witness the outer world bend to your inner conviction. Your only responsibility is to remain faithful to the unseen reality until it hardens into fact. Do not misuse I am by tying it to lack, limitation, or fear. Say I am not ready, I am not worthy, and you are commanding your world to mirror those states. Instead, speak boldly. Declare what you wish to be as though it already is. So tonight, when you are alone and still, close your eyes. Feel the end you desire. Whisper in silence, I am that. And then rest, knowing the law of assumption is faithful. Everything you dare to ask of I am by assumption, it must deliver. I am is the creative power of God within you, the invisible force shaping every experience and circumstance of your life. It is not just a phrase, but the living presence of the divine imagination expressing itself through you. Whatever you attach to I am, you command into existence, for it is the eternal name of being. When you say I am strong, I am wealthy, I am loved, you are invoking the limitless nature of God and calling it forth in form. To misuse I am is to misuse the creative power that is forever at work within you. Whatever follows I am becomes your reality because those words are not idle expressions, but the living decree of your inner self. Each time you say I am, you are issuing a command to the unseen, instructing it to mold your outer world to match your inner declaration. If you say I am weak, life will faithfully mirror weakness. If you say I am strong, circumstances will arise that confirm your strength. The words are seeds planted in the fertile soil of imagination, and imagination never fails to bring forth what is sound within it. This is why the wise guard their words with vigilance, knowing that careless speech becomes a self-fulfilling prophecy. I am is the eternal name of God dwelling within you, and to misuse it is to misuse the creative force that shapes worlds. You cannot separate what you believe about yourself from what life reveals to you, for the two are one and the same. Every state you claim with I am becomes clothed in flesh, appearing as people, events, and conditions that echo your assumption. By directing I am consciously, you take command of creation and align your inner reality with the life you desire. You do not beg or plead, you claim. For to beg is to admit lack, and to plead is to confess separation from that which already belongs to you. The creative power within you does not respond to desperation. It responds to conviction. When you approach the infinite as though it were outside of you, withholding your desires, you affirm the very distance you wish to overcome. But when you boldly claim, you recognize that the power of creation rests in your own consciousness, waiting for your assumption to give it form. To claim is not arrogance. It is the highest humility, for it acknowledges that God lives in you as your own I am. When you assume a state and declare it as already yours, you are not asking for something to come. You are affirming that it already is. The moment you claim, you set in motion unseen currents that must bring your inner conviction into outer expression. Life always gives you not what you beg for, but what you claim to be. To say I am prosperous while feeling the reality of prosperity is to impress upon your imagination the very law that governs manifestation. To repeat endlessly that you want, you need, you hope only keeps alive the state of wanting, needing, and hoping. The law can do nothing but fulfill what you are conscious of being. Therefore, to claim is to rest in the assurance that the end is already achieved. It is to speak the language of faith, to wear the garment of the wish fulfilled, and to live inwardly as though the desire were already fact. When you claim, you align yourself with the truth that everything you long for is already within you. awaiting recognition through I am. Imagination is the workshop of creation, because everything that exists in the visible world was first conceived in the unseen realm of thought and vision. Nothing comes into form without first being imagined. The house you live in, the clothes you wear, the devices you use, each began as an idea in the mind of someone who dared to see beyond what was already present. Imagination is not idle fantasy. It is the very power by which creation takes place. And when you recognize its true nature, you understand that you hold within you the key to shaping your destiny. When you enter the silence and imagine with feeling, you are building the blueprint of the life you desire. Every picture held in the mind, when sustained with conviction, begins to clothe itself in form and substance. The outer world is nothing more than the reflection of your inner workshop. If your imagination is filled with fear, doubt, and limitation, your reality will faithfully mirror those states. But if you dare to envision abundance, love, health, and freedom, and you persist in dwelling in that inner state, the law of consciousness must bring it to pass. Imagination creates reality, for it is the eternal act of God within you, shaping and forming according to your assumption. To say it is the workshop of creation is to recognize that every inner scene rehearsed, every inner conversation spoken, every vivid picture entertained is a seed planted in the soil of the subconscious, which knows no difference between what is real and what is imagined. Persist long enough in living inwardly from the end, and the world outside bends to match the reality you have already accepted within yourself. This is why it is said to live in the wish fulfilled. To walk inwardly as though the desire were already fact is to use imagination as it was divinely intended. You need not wait for outer evidence, for imagination precedes manifestation. The unseen always comes before the seen. The invisible gives birth to the visible. In imagination you have already created, and life can only echo back to you what you have dared to assume as true in the workshop of your own mind. Persist in inner assumption despite outer evidence, for the world you see with your eyes is nothing more than the shadow of past beliefs and states of consciousness. It is not the truth of who you are, but the echo of who you once assumed yourself to be. The outer world always lags behind the inner conviction. And if you allow appearances to dictate your faith, you will forever remain bound to the old cycle of doubt and disappointment. To persist is to recognize that imagination is the true reality, and that what you inwardly accept as fact must in time harden into the circumstances of your life. When you assume the state of your desire fulfilled, the senses may rebel. Everything around you may contradict the inner vision, and reason itself may insist that you are deluded. Yet it is in this very moment that your persistence is tested. Faith is not proven when the evidence is obvious, but when nothing in the outer world gives you reason to believe, and yet you remain loyal to the unseen conviction. By persisting, you refuse to return to the old state, and your steadfastness impresses the subconscious mind, which must faithfully picture the assumption to which you cling. The law of consciousness does not operate on fleeting wishes or temporary affirmations. It yields to sustained conviction, to the inner knowing that refuses to be shaken by appearances. Outer facts are but temporary arrangements, destined to dissolve when the higher truth within you asserts itself. The seed does not sprout the instant it is planted, and yet the wise gardener trusts the unseen process, watering and tending to it until the harvest arrives. In the same way, you nurture your inner assumption by revisiting it in imagination, feeling it real, and dwelling in it as though it were already your natural state of being. To persist is to live from the end, to carry within you the quiet confidence that what you have claimed is already yours, even when the world laughs or denies it. Those who master this persistence walk as visionaries, unshaken by circumstances, knowing that the outer world must eventually conform to the inner pattern. The invisible is always greater than the visible, and the invisible is governed by your assumption. When you hold unwaveringly to your inner reality, outer evidence loses its power to dictate your life. In persistence lies transformation. It is the bridge from desire to fulfillment, the unseen force that bends reality to your command. To persist is to choose once and for all who you are in imagination, and to remain there until the world yields. The senses may whisper failure, time may suggest delay, but the law of assumption is unchanging. If you remain faithful to the inner state, the outer must obey. For consciousness alone creates reality, and persistence seals its expression. The outer world reflects your inner conviction, because life has no reality of its own apart from the consciousness that animates it. What you see around you is not an independent force acting upon you, but a mirror faithfully projecting the beliefs, assumptions, and feelings you hold within. Every event, every circumstance, every person you encounter is but the shadow of an inward state of being. If within you resides conviction of lack, limitation, or unworthiness, then the world must present scenes that echo those assumptions. If within you resides conviction of abundance, love, strength, and freedom, then the world arranges itself to confirm those truths. The mirror does not question, it does not choose, it simply reflects back to you the face you show it. The power of conviction lies in its certainty. Casual thoughts may come and go without much effect, but the assumptions you feel deeply and live from are impressed upon the subconscious mind, and the subconscious out pictures them as the facts of your life. This is why two people can stand in the same place, surrounded by the same world, and yet experience completely different realities. One holds within a conviction of failure, and so everywhere he goes he meets resistance and lack. The other holds within a conviction of success, and life opens before him in doors of opportunity. The difference is not the world, but the conviction that molds the world. The outer world is nothing more than crystallized imagination. What you persist in imagining, feeling, and assuming inwardly must eventually become visible to the senses. The process is as certain as the rising of the sun, for the law of consciousness is unchanging. When you inwardly dwell in a state, the world must out picture it, whether or not you consciously believe in the process. Most live unconsciously, allowing fears and doubts to harden into fact, unaware that they themselves are the authors of their misfortune. But when you awaken to the truth, that the outer world reflects your inner conviction, you reclaim the power to shape your destiny deliberately. It is not enough to merely wish or hope for change, for wishes and hopes imply separation from the desired state. Conviction means to inwardly accept the desire as already accomplished, to feel it real, to walk in imagination as though it were fact. The moment you inwardly assume and sustain that state, the world begins to move in harmony with your new conviction. People, circumstances, and events are drawn as actors to play the roles required to fulfill your assumption. Life itself bends to the weight of your inner certainty. If appearances seem slow to change, it is only because the old conviction still holds sway. The outer world lingers as the echo of yesterday's belief. But just as the echo fades when the original sound ceases, so too must the old conditions dissolve when you persist in the new state. You need not struggle against appearances, for they are powerless except for the meaning you grant them. Simply return again and again to your chosen conviction. Feel it alive within you, and rest in the assurance that it must be reflected without. The outer world is the mirror, and you are the image it reflects. Change the inner conviction, and the reflection cannot help but change with it. Hold fast to the truth that consciousness creates reality, and that what you dare to assume within is what you must experience without, for life is nothing more than the shadow of your inner being. Misusing I am creates lack and limitation, because the words I am are not mere phrases, but the very essence of divine power operating through you. Every time you speak I am, you are invoking the name of God within, declaring a truth that your subconscious must accept and manifest. The universe does not question your sincerity, nor does it filter out careless statements. It simply takes the command that follows I am and begins shaping reality to align with that assumption. When you say I am tired, I am poor, I am unlucky, or I am not worthy, you are not making a casual remark. You are decreeing a state of being that must show itself in the circumstances of your life. The creative power within does not distinguish between what you desire and what you fear. It only responds to what you affirm and feel to be real. To misuse I am is to misuse the name of the infinite presence in you. By attaching it to weakness, failure, or lack, you are planting seeds in the soil of imagination that must grow into experiences of limitation. The subconscious is infinitely fertile, and it produces without judgment. If you feed it convictions of despair, it gives you a harvest of despair. If you nourish it with faith, confidence, and love, it produces abundance and joy. The law is impersonal and cannot be deceived, for it always delivers according to the assumption you claim. Many people unknowingly curse themselves daily by the careless use of I am. They say I am always struggling, I am never enough, I am stuck, I am sick, and then they wonder why life continues to present them with conditions that affirm those very statements. They do not realize that the outer world is simply reflecting the inner command. To misuse I am is to place the creative power of God in service of your doubts and fears, clothing them in flesh and calling them your reality. The world has no choice but to obey the state you persist in declaring, for consciousness alone is cause, and the outer is only effect. The remedy lies in awareness. You must begin to notice how you speak to yourself, both silently and aloud. Every time you say I am, pause and recognize that you are using the sacred name of being. Ask yourself if what follows is worthy of the divine power you are invoking. If it is not, withdraw it at once and replace it with the truth of who you desire to be. Instead of I am unlucky, declare I am favored. Instead of I am broke, declare I am wealthy. Instead of I am anxious, declare I am at peace. In doing so, you redirect the creative force of consciousness toward the life you wish to experience. Misusing I am traps you in cycles of repetition. For what you affirm becomes the state you dwell in, and the state you dwell in becomes the life you live. But by consciously guarding your use of I am, you break free from limitation and step into alignment with your higher self. Every great achievement begins with a declaration of identity. I am capable, I am powerful, I am loved, I am free. The outer world cannot resist such conviction, for it is compelled to mirror the inner certainty you have claimed. To understand the weight of I am is to realize that you are never a victim of circumstance, but always the author of it. The words you attach to I am are the brushstrokes painting the canvas of your life. Carelessly speak lack, and lack will appear. Boldly declare abundance, and abundance will unfold. The law does not fail, for it is the same yesterday, today, and forever. Misusing I am creates lack and limitation, but rightly using I am opens the door to every blessing, every desire, and every fulfillment that already exists within you, waiting to be claimed through the power of assumption and the authority of your own spoken word. Speak boldly in alignment with your desires, because the words you speak are not idle sounds drifting into the air. They are vibrations of creative power shaping the very fabric of your reality. Every word is a seed, and every declaration of identity is a command to the unseen forces of life. When you speak with hesitation, doubt, or fear, you weaken the creative force within you. But when you speak boldly, with certainty and conviction, you call into being the life you long to live. Bold speech is not arrogance, it is faith in action. It is the recognition that what you inwardly assume and declare must be reflected in the outer world. For the law of consciousness is unfailing. To speak boldly means to refuse the language of lack and limitation, to put aside phrases such as I hope, I wish, or maybe someday, and instead declare with firmness I am. IAV, ICRT, IPACS. Your words must match the picture you hold in imagination, for when the two are aligned, the subconscious accepts the assumption without resistance. Say I am wealthy, and feel the reality of abundance as though it were already yours. Say I am loved, and walk in the warmth of that love even before it arrives visibly. Say I am free, and live inwardly in the joy of freedom. These declarations, boldly spoken and consistently felt, begin to reorganize the conditions of your life to reflect your inner state. The timid speech of doubt produces nothing but more doubt. When you say I hope things change, you affirm that they have not. When you say I will someday succeed, you declare that success is always in the future, never present. To speak boldly is to claim now, to anchor yourself in the present reality of your desire fulfilled. It is to say without wavering, I am that, and to hold to that statement no matter how loudly the outer world contradicts it. Bold words pierce through appearances and establish new patterns in consciousness, which in time solidify into new experiences. The power of bold speech lies in its ability to impress the subconscious mind. The subconscious is moved not by timid whispers of uncertainty, but by firm declarations charged with feeling. When you speak with confidence, as though your word were law, the subconscious accepts it as fact and begins arranging the outer world to match. This is why it is said that life and death are in the power of the tongue. Your words give life to states of being, and they also bury them. Speak lack and you bury abundance. Speak abundance and you bury lack. The choice is always yours. To speak boldly in alignment with your desires requires vigilance. You must become aware of your inner conversations, for these silent words are as powerful as those spoken aloud. Many sabotage their desires not with the declarations they make in the morning, but with the quiet contradictions they murmur throughout the day. They declare I am prosperous, yet inwardly they whisper I am struggling. They affirm I am loved, yet secretly they mutter I am alone. These contradictions cancel out the bold declaration, leaving the subconscious confused and the outer world unchanged. Consistency is the mark of true boldness. To speak boldly is to speak the same truth within as without, to align inner conversation and outer word with the vision you have claimed. It is not enough to speak once and then retreat into silence or fear. Bold speech must be sustained. Just as a seed requires water, sunlight, and care, so too does your declaration require persistence. Repeat it until it feels natural, until your very being resonates with the truth of your words. In time, what once felt bold and daring will feel ordinary, for the state you claimed has become your dwelling place. At that point, the outer world cannot help but yield, for it is only the mirror of the inner conviction. Bold speech transforms you because it shifts your identity. When you declare I am strong, you begin to think, act, and live as strength. When you say I am successful, your choices and behaviors align with that truth. When you say I am loved, you carry yourself with the dignity of one who is cherished. The outer world responds not only to the words but to the energy and state they produce within you. You begin to radiate the reality of your assumption, and the world reflects it back through people, opportunities, and conditions. Speaking boldly does not mean shouting loudly. It means speaking with certainty. A quiet, firm statement of truth is often more powerful than a loud declaration spoken with doubt. The universe hears conviction, not volume. The alignment of word, feeling, and imagination is the true boldness that creates results. Each time you declare I am in harmony with your desire, you are chiseling away the old identity and revealing the self that has always been within you, waiting to be recognized. The bold word is the word of creation. It is the declaration that lifts you out of limitation and places you in the state of fulfillment. To speak timidly is to remain bound by appearances, but to speak boldly is to rise above them and claim your rightful inheritance. Your desires are not distant dreams. They are present realities waiting for you to declare them as yours. Speak boldly, align your words with your vision, and allow the law of consciousness to bring forth in the outer world the truth you have already spoken within. Feel the reality of your wish fulfilled in stillness, for it is in the quiet of the inner world that the true act of creation takes place. When the noise of the outer world is silenced and the restless movement of thought subsides, you enter the sacred space where imagination works most powerfully. Stillness is not emptiness, it is fullness. It is the womb of creation, the inner sanctuary where you can step beyond appearances and experience the reality of your desire as though it were already complete. In this still state, you are no longer distracted by the evidence of the senses or the demands of reason. You are free to feel, to assume, and to embody the end you wish to see expressed. To feel the wish fulfilled does not mean to merely think about it or to daydream idly. It means to surrender yourself completely to the inner experience of already having it. It is to let your body, your emotions, and your imagination all agree that the desire is now fact. If you long for health, in stillness you feel the vitality and strength of perfect well-being flowing through you. If you desire wealth, you feel the security, the freedom, and the satisfaction that abundance brings. If you seek love, you feel the warmth, the joy, and the connection of being cherished. Whatever the desire may be, the act of feeling it fulfilled in stillness is the act of claiming it as present, here and now. Stillness is powerful because it bypasses resistance. In the noise of daily life, doubts and fears rise easily, but in stillness you rest in the simplicity of being. You are not trying to make something happen. You are allowing yourself to experience what already exists in imagination. The law of consciousness does not require effort or struggle. It requires faith and acceptance. By entering stillness and feeling the reality of the wish fulfilled, you impress the subconscious mind with a conviction that cannot be shaken by outer evidence. The subconscious is most receptive in these quiet moments, and whatever you impress upon it in stillness must harden into fact in the visible world. This practice is the true meaning of prayer. Prayer is not begging an external power to grant you a request. It is entering the stillness within and assuming the state of the answered prayer. When you feel the reality of the wish fulfilled, you are praying in the only way that guarantees results. You are aligning yourself with the creative power of I am and declaring silently, I am that. This silent declaration is more powerful than any spoken word, for it is felt, and feeling is the secret. The universe does not respond to empty words. It responds to the feeling of already being or having what you desire. Stillness allows you to dwell in the end, instead of worrying about how it will happen, when it will happen, or who will play a part in bringing it to pass. You rest in the knowing that it already is. This rest is not passivity, it is creative assurance. Just as a seed does not strain to become a tree, but quietly unfolds in perfect order, so too does your desire blossom naturally when you persist in feeling its reality in stillness. The world outside must conform, for the law cannot fail. The inner state always precedes the outer condition, and the inner state felt in stillness is the most potent force of all. To master this art, you must cultivate the habit of turning inward regularly. Find a quiet place, close your eyes, and let the outer world fade from awareness. Withdraw your attention from appearances and focus entirely on the reality you wish to embody. Let yourself feel the emotions of fulfillment as though they were happening now. See yourself living the life you desire, hear the words you would hear, touch the things you would touch, and above all, feel the satisfaction that it is already yours. Do not force the feeling, simply rest in it, let it wash over you, and allow it to become natural. At first, the mind may resist. Doubts may whisper that it is only imagination, that nothing has changed. But with persistence, the feeling of fulfillment grows stronger, more vivid, more real than the outer world. Soon the stillness becomes a sanctuary where you can return again and again, knowing that each visit impresses more deeply upon the subconscious. In time, the conviction becomes so complete that you no longer question whether it will happen. You know it is done. The outer world then moves in ways beyond your comprehension to mirror the inner state you have faithfully held in stillness. Feeling the reality of the wish fulfilled in stillness transforms you from within. It changes your identity. You no longer see yourself as one who desires, but as one who already possesses. This shift in identity is the true key to manifestation, for life always reflects who you believe yourself to be. When you feel yourself to be wealthy, the world brings opportunities and circumstances that align with wealth. When you feel yourself to be loved, life presents relationships and encounters that affirm love. When you feel yourself to be free, doors open where there once were walls. The change begins in stillness, in the quiet acceptance of your new state of being. Stillness is the bridge between imagination and manifestation. It is the sacred pause where you step out of the chaos of appearances and into the truth of inner creation. By practicing this art faithfully, you align with the eternal law that consciousness is the only reality. The outer world cannot help but follow, for it is only the reflection of what you have already claimed and felt within. To feel the reality of your wish fulfilled in stillness is to exercise the highest form of faith. The quiet knowing that what you assume in silence must one day speak loudly. In fact, what you ask of I am by assumption, it must manifest, because I am is the eternal name of being, the creative presence of God within you, that never fails to express what you boldly declare yourself to be. I am is not simply a phrase you repeat. It is the core identity of your existence, the unchanging reality that gives life to every thought, feeling, and assumption. Whenever you say I am followed by a quality, a condition, or a state, you are clothing yourself in that identity. You are impressing upon your consciousness a command that the unseen world must obey. To ask of I am is not to beg, for begging implies separation from that which you seek. To ask of I am is to claim boldly, to assume already to be that which you desire, and to rest in the conviction that your assumption will, by law, crystallize into fact. The law of assumption operates with perfect precision. It is not swayed by doubt, fear, or appearances. It responds only to what you inwardly accept as true. If you assume lack, you live in lack, no matter how earnestly you may wish otherwise. If you assume abundance, you live in abundance, even if at first the outer world seems to contradict it. The law is impartial, reflecting faithfully whatever state you impress upon it. This is why your assumptions carry such tremendous creative power. They are not idle thoughts or fleeting wishes, but living decrees written upon the subconscious mind, which accepts them without question and brings them to life in the outer world. When you ask of I am by assumption, you must do so with feeling, for it is not words alone that move the subconscious, but the felt reality of your claim. To say I am wealthy without feeling the security and freedom of wealth is to speak an empty formula. To say I am loved without experiencing inwardly the warmth and joy of love is to remain in longing. But when you assume with vivid imagination and sincere feeling, the state becomes real to you, and what becomes real within must eventually be reflected without. The world outside has no choice, for it is only a mirror, and the mirror cannot show you anything but the face you present to it. This is the secret of faith. Faith is not blind hope. It is the inner conviction that what you have assumed is already so. Faith does not wait for proof. It provides the proof by feeling the reality of the wish fulfilled. When you ask of I am with faith, you are not questioning if it will happen or when it will happen. You are declaring that it already is, and you rest in the stillness of that knowing. Just as a seed planted in the soil carries within it the certainty of harvest, so too does your assumption carry within it the certainty of manifestation. Time may be required for the outer rearrangement of events, but the fulfillment is guaranteed. For the law of I am does not fail. To ask of I am by assumption requires vigilance, for the outer world will often tempt you to return to old states of doubt and fear. Appearances may contradict your new identity, circumstances may mock your assumption, but you must remain steadfast. To waver is to plant and uproot the seed repeatedly, never giving it the chance to grow. Persistence is the mark of true assumption. You hold to your claim despite evidence to the contrary, knowing that appearances are but shadows of past beliefs and cannot withstand the light of your new conviction. The more faithfully you persist, the sooner the outer world yields. Consider how often people misuse this law without realizing it. They say I am tired, I am broke, I am unlucky, and life faithfully delivers more experiences to affirm those claims. They assume limitation and wonder why limitation persists. They attach the sacred name I am to states of lack, and then blame fate or chance for the conditions that follow. Yet the truth is that life has never denied them. It has only reflected back what they have boldly, though unconsciously, asked of I am. Once this truth is understood, the responsibility becomes clear. You are free to assume whatever you choose, and what you assume must manifest. This freedom is both a gift and a responsibility. It means you can no longer excuse yourself as a victim of circumstance. It means you are the author of your world, for your assumptions are the pen with which reality is written. If you wish to change your life, you must change the assumptions you live by. Do not ask timidly, hoping for an answer from outside yourself. Ask boldly by declaring I am that, and live inwardly as though it were already fact. The law cannot deny you, for it is your own consciousness creating itself in form. To practice this art, take time daily to enter the stillness of imagination. Close your eyes, withdraw your attention from the outer world, and assume the feeling of the wish fulfilled. Do not think of the desire as distant or future, but claim it now. Feel the joy of its realization, the relief of its completion, the satisfaction of already being or having what you sought. Let your senses engage in the scene, see, hear, and touch the reality within. This inner act is the true asking of I am, for it is assumption clothed in feeling. and once impressed upon the subconscious, it must out picture in your world. The great secret is that I am is always answering you. It does not choose when to listen and when to ignore. It is the eternal creative power responding to every assumption you make. You are always asking, whether consciously or unconsciously, by the states you live in and the words you declare. If your life reflects lack, it is because you have been unconsciously asking for lack through your assumptions. If your life reflects abundance, it is because you have asked boldly and faithfully for abundance. The law makes no mistakes and plays no favorites. It simply gives to you what you assume yourself to be. Therefore, take care with the use of I am. Guard your words, guard your thoughts, guard your inner conversations. Each one is a request made to the infinite within you, and each one is answered with perfect fidelity. Ask for greatness by assuming I am great. Ask for freedom by assuming I am free. Ask for love by assuming I am love. Ask for abundance by assuming I am abundant. In every case, what you ask of I am by assumption must manifest, for consciousness is the only reality and assumption is the act by which reality is formed. To live by this law is to live as a creator. It is to walk through life with the quiet confidence that nothing is beyond your reach. For all things exist within consciousness, and consciousness is within you as I am. Every desire is but an invitation to assume a new state, and every state once assumed must express itself. The world is your mirror, and what you dare to assume in the depths of your being is what the mirror must reflect. This is the eternal law. What you ask of I am by assumption, it must manifest